Hey there everyone, Luke here, and oh boy, after last week's chapter when the big reveals happened, especially with Kai, which surprisingly a lot of people were shocked by that, whereas me and Pijos were like, we kind of saw this coming. But anyway, that's besides the point. This chapter, we finally get the motivation behind what Kai is doing, and let me tell you, after this chapter, I think a lot of people are going to have a different opinion on Karichiro. Okay, so this will be chapter 228, titled Karichiro and Kai. Now, going back to the numbering of the chapters, this Yozakura is going to surpass Dr. Stone. It's most 100% definitely going to surpass Dr. Stone in terms of chapter, meaning that, hey everyone who's been sleeping on Dr. Stone, it's going to surpass pretty much some of the big name mangas that have been in the past few years, but I digress. So title's called Karichiro and Kai, which is obviously appropriate considering this chapter is mostly focused on them, their relationship, the betrayal, and how it's affected them both physically and mentally. So it starts off from the ending of the last chapter where, and this was something that I didn't touch upon in the last review, where Karichiro's face is just like, you don't see his eyes at all. Like pretty much after Kai reveals himself, it's just his mouth and his eyes are like visibly not there. Like I guess that's kind of like a metaphor for it to be like, I cannot look you in the eyes right now, Kai. Like, why are you doing this? I cannot look you at you. My eyes just cannot physically comprehend that. I guess that's what they're trying to get at here. But yeah, Karichiro says like, Tayo, this is between me and Kai. You go on ahead to Asa. Just don't look back. Which again, like I said, people are going to have a different opinion on Karichiro, and I feel like it's going to be a more positive opinion. Like, I'm having a really positive outlook on Karichiro here, of just being like, hey, especially in this last battle, like, he's not been as antagonistic towards Tao as he normally is, which I do honestly appreciate, and it's kind of come full circle. Like, he started off like a bit like, oh, we're not sure about it, to like, okay, he's definitely the most complex character in the series. We can give him that. Like, he is certainly a complex character, and this chapter pretty much solidifies this for Karichiro's complexity. So yeah, Tao is immediately like, okay, I know this is between you and him, Karichiro. So yeah, I'll leave this to you. He immediately jumps into using his true spring blue. I assume it's his true spring blue because it's all white and everything, and it's just jumping at Kai. Kai sees it coming. It's just like, oh, Tao's coming, and you see his eye just focused on Tao, and then it goes to like from a white panel to a black panel, where it's just like, as Kai tries to use his box code to get at Tayo, and Tayo's just like, oh crap, yeah, I forgot, Kai is extremely fast. Like, I would assume he's one of the faster characters in the series. I think Karichiro and Futaba might be a bit fast, but Kai is definitely up there as one of the fastest characters in the series. But before Kai can even slash at Tayo, Karichiro uses Yomi technique to block it, and basically like, oh, that's a nice box cut. Gonna take that away from you. And Tao's just like, oh, thank God for that. I can get in now. I can go directly after us, which is gonna come into play with what Alpha saw a few chapters ago. But before we get into that, we have Karichiro deactivating Yomi and just be like, I want to ask you why. We've known each other for far too long. I already know what he offered you. It was your family and a normal body. Is that correct? Which I'm glad they finally addressed that, because for Kai's been in the series for over 100 chapters. At this point. In fact, the first chapter I ever reviewed, ever started properly reviewing Dr. Stone, was the chapter where Kai was introduced. So that was like 122, chapter 122. So it's nice that they're finally getting back to Kai's backstory and how it all ties into the Yozakura's here. Now, I was partly right in my prediction of like what caused Kai to like go to Asa's side. Yeah, in the sense like yeah, it did involve his family, but I assumed it would have been Momo and the fact that Karicho still loves Momo. But no, it's actually much more emotional for these two characters itself, and much more, and I would say much more emotional for Karicho than Kai as well. But yeah, so essentially, Asa came up to Kai and was just like, "Hey, I can be your family back, your true family back." And I can give you basically a normal body where your brain is not half damaged and all your senses are coming out of control here. So all you have to do is just help me get the Yozakuras, and I can get that to you. And yeah, and yeah, Asa would be able to do that, but he'd probably be able to do it by mutilating half the Yozakura from me in order to do that. It would be kind of like, yeah, I can bring your family back, but you've got to have to sacrifice these people for the Philosopher's Stone. Yeah. Yeah, kind of a risky scenario, and not many people would want to do it. But with Kai, we don't know much about his backstory with his family, but I assume it would be something similar to Tai, where he loved his family, and it was just like really sucky what happened to them. So Karicho continues to go on to elaborate on just like, oh, Asa has been collecting collaborators like by using resurrection as bait. It will be easy for him to bring your family back to life and heal your normal body, because as we all know, your wounds from the accident they kicked your brain and sent it into overdrive. They haven't stopped. And you're running out of ways to cope. The glasses that we've given you are not working at the moment, and neither are the Senbi rice crackers. They're already at the maximum dose, and you're drowning under an ever-increasing deluge of information that's reason enough to grasp at miracles. So yeah, his brain is just gathering so much information at this point that he cannot even hope to contain it. But Karicho mentions like, yeah, you aren't the kind of person to betray others over mere temptation. That said, this was never a betrayal in the first place. It was a revenge. So Karicho is seeing this in his eyes of like, oh, I get it. This is revenge against me for what happened to your family. As we see flashback to Karicho when he was 10 years old. So, yeah, because Karicho and Kai, they are the same age, so it's around when they were 10 years old. Karicho was out on a mission and he was trying to chase down some thieves, and it was at this point where I feel like Karicho was like in his proper egotistical notion of just being like, yeah, I'm the strongest Yozakura here. I have the best abilities and everything. I've already unlocked my blooming, but I'm not going to use it yet. And yeah, I have just done so many missions. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think around this time he was already a silver or even a gold rank spy. So naturally, at that age, he would have like that kind of superiority about him, thinking like he was totally invisible. Nothing could phase him. And his objective was to retrieve a stolen disc from proprietary data, and he easily completed this mission. It went off without a hitch, but in his eyes, but it didn't go off without a hitch, as he saw that the crazy chase that led him on as he tried to escape in an explosion, and they took his family along with them. So as he was chasing down all these criminals trying to get this data back, it took out a family, and he realized that, oh crap. Probably when he got into high school, he realized that, oh crap, this is the same kid that lost his family in that mission that I was part of. So it's nice that they've actually tied that back into the backstory with Karicho. Probably why Karicho took in Kai in the first place and gave him a purpose in life to control his senses and to become a spy, and became his best friend, because he obviously felt like, I am guilty. I am responsible for this kid. Like, I took this kid's family away from him, so it's my responsibility. And again, this all ties into like kind of like the complex relationship he has with Tayo, because his family, because like him, his family took Tayo's family away from him. Like, Momo was a part of Tampopo took Tayo away from. So in Karicho's mind, like, his family a part of his family was responsible for Tile basically being an orphan, in the same way like he feels responsible for Kai being an orphan. So again, this all culminates in like why Kiricho is so tolerant of Tayo, even though he hates his guts sometimes for the fact that he gets to be with Mutsumi. But again, like I said, it's all culminating in the fact that it all circumnavigates back to his best friend being in the exact situation as Tao because of his family and what they do as a family. So I'm glad that they've pretty much cemented like Tayo and Kai are basically two sides of the same coin when it comes to Kiricho. One is the best friend, one is like the reluctant ally at times. So Kiricho continues the flashback by explaining, as the gifted eldest son of the Yozakuras, I grew arrogant. So I'm glad that he actually ignored, like, Kiricho has always had that little bit of an egotistical notion about him, but one thing he's always admitted is like when he is at fault and when he feels like he is the one responsible for it. So again, Kiricho, very complex character, because it would have been so easy for him to just be like, no, it wasn't my fault, it was these guys' fault. But no, he actually saw this. Like, I grew so arrogant that I thought I was invisible, that this was a complete wake-up call for me. I failed in this mission because I think part of the mission was probably like, we don't involve the innocent here, and the innocent got involved, which is why he sees it as a failure. As he goes on and says, I don't know when you looked into it or when you discovered the truth, but I knew this day would come eventually. Like he knew, like in the back of his mind, like, we've been friends for a while, we're part of the spy world, you're the head, you're bound to find out what happened with your family. So yeah, I was prepared for this moment, Kai. While there is a minor detour, it is no different to our plan. Your motives are entirely just, and I understand both your anger and sorrow. That said, I will grind it all into dust. So yeah, even though I get your it's basically saying, even though I get your reasoning and you have every right to have this notion about me, still not going to change the fact that you're endangering my family, so I've got to take you out here and now. As he activates Yomi. Now, a lot of people saw like Yomi as like this spider-like creature, but I always saw it as a scorpion. So like, yeah, it's basically turning into a scorpion right now. Yeah, because it's got like the stinger at the end of its tail and the claws. So yeah, although whether or not this is a new technique that it's developing here, yeah, but I'm going to say this is Yomi, as he goes on and says, justice, friendship, it doesn't matter. Stand in Yozakura's way, and I will destroy it. So come at me, my ex-best friend. So, oh boy, just those words from Kiricho's mouth, because a lot of people like go back out to the beginning of the series and see Kiricho at the beginning of the series, and yeah, if someone came up to you and said, "Yeah, this guy is a best friend," I think a lot of people would laugh in his face, but to see, but now that we've gotten to know Kai and know his relationship with Kiricho and the Yozakuras and how much notion it has in it, like Kai is the only one that can basically tolerate fully Kiricho's antics, even though he probably deep down finds him a bit like weird as well. But it's like, yeah, it's a weird quirk my best friend has. So yeah, the fact that he says that, like, oh, just like, that will get you in the guts. Especially the Kiricho fanboys, like, just being like, my ex-best friend, like, just like the one notion that a lot of people dread to hear, like Kiricho say this now to Kai before he charges up the attack, and Kai is going on and saying, that's quite a case of motor mouth you've got. You used a flood of words to hide what you really feel. How very like you. So yeah, using words to hide how Kiricho truly feels about all of this. So now we get into more of Kai's side of the story here, which I'm glad. I like that we got this. Like, we got both sides of like what's going on here. How Kiricho feels about the situation, how Kai feels about the situation. Kai goes on and says in his mind, despite all this, you're still going to cover me to the very end. After about a year of or so of leaning into the underworld, this is where Kai found out, like, oh, this is what happened here, and it was very easy to find out exactly what happened. I assume Kiricho kind of played the seeds down and let Kai figure it out for himself, because I feel like Kiricho at that point was just all the guilt was just piling up. It's like, I'm not going to tell Kai directly to his face, but at the same time, I'm still going to leave him clues to figure it out, right? Because that would be very Kiricho-like. Like, he pretty much wears the emotions of others on his sleeves. That is Kiricho to a T. Like, he doesn't want to let others feel the emotions that he feels he has to deal with. And this was no exception here. Like, he probably felt like, I want to tell Kai, but at the same time, I don't want to tell him, because I feel like outside of the Yozakura family, it's the one friendship that he truly valued above all others. Especially after what Kai did to him. Even after what happened with his family, Kai was still willing to like protect Kiricho in school, and that probably as well just amounted to the amount of guilt that he had. Like, this kid right here, I took his family away from him, and yet he's still willing to come over and protect me. Like, this guy, there's just something about him. Like, I need to get him I need to keep him in my life and just protect him just as much as he's protected me, despite what I believe has been like the worst thing I've ever done to him. And even after all of that, even after all of this just, I think this chapter might make like, this chapter has certainly bumped Kiricho up in terms of my favourite characters and fully redeemed him in my eyes. Like, but I feel like this, I don't know, I think this might push Kai into second place. This whole chapter might push Kai into second place. I know people will be like, no, you can't put Kai above I, but just this whole chapter, like, the thing that I think hits the most here is that despite all that happened, despite the guilt that Kiricho feels, and despite the fact that Kai lost his family, he never blamed Kiricho for it. Which I've got to commend him so much on. Like, he found out that, oh, Kiricho was responsible, like, Kiricho's out on a mission and that's what caused my family's death. But then Kai obviously looked into it and think like, well, Kiricho was a kid at the time, and he honestly, what Kai saw of it was just like, this is just a genuine accident that happened. It wasn't his fault, and even then, Kiricho was still going to the grave praying, and Kai could see like the guilt. Like, you see the panels of just like Kai is there with his praying to his family's grave, and Kiricho's with him. And Kiricho, even though he's not, you don't see his eyes, like, Kai can instantly understand, like, this guy has a lot of guilt. This guy has a lot of guilt for what happened to my family, and at some point we're gonna have to confront that. And he says like he still couldn't forgive it. He still couldn't forgive himself. Like, Kiricho, I feel like, is the kind of guy throughout what we've seen from him in the series. Like, when something tragic happens, it hits him hard, like a ton of bricks. Like, when he fails to protect someone, that hits him like a ton of bricks. Like, when he failed to protect his sister from Tampopo and their father, when he failed, and here now, when it's like his biggest failure, I feel like maybe Mutsumi, I feel like it's kind of like balanced now, but I feel like the fact that he failed to protect the innocent, and especially Kai's family, I feel like that outranks for him what happened with Mutsumi, because Mutsumi's still alive, but Kai's family is dead, and he in his eyes, he caused that. So I feel like in his eyes, that's more of a tragedy than what happened with Mutsumi in his eyes, and the fact that he's carrying all this weight as well, even after Kai is like, look, I feel like if Kai just came up to me and went, look, it's alright, I understand what happened, and I've already forgiven you for what it is. Kiricho himself's like, that's not enough. I can't forgive myself for what I did to you, Kai. And he goes on and says, you had my family's insurance and my inheritance doctored so I could live comfortably. You went out of your way to attend the same school as me, even offered me a new life. So yeah, Kiricho obviously found out like what happened with Kai, and it's like, I've got to get into this guy's school. I've got to find a way to get him to come over to my life, because he is my responsibility now. Like, that's what I feel like Kai is to Kiricho. Like, he's my responsibility. I screwed up. I've got to protect this guy no matter what. And we come back to the flashback of them fishing where they go, And when I finally discovered the truth, you picked up on it instantly. You never brought it up, though. You knew I'd forgive. You knew I forgive you, even if you did, and you believed you still believe that you don't deserve forgiveness. So yeah, like I said, Creature knew obviously like Kai's gonna forgive me, but I can't forgive myself personally. As they go on and say, as for me, I was terrified that mention it would ruin our relationship, so I stayed silent. So, oh my god, these two, oh my god, like, just the amount of friendship that's just said there, right there, like, Creature would be like, yeah, I know, like, they don't have to say anything, and yet they can instantly understand what the other is thinking. That is the sign of true trust and true friendship right there outside your family. That they both don't want this to be brought up because they know it's just going to ruin each other, but they know that eventually it is going to have to come out. The thoughts and flashbacks continue with Kai saying, "You've always been too harsh on yourself, while I've always been too soft on myself." So again, different conflicting ideologies coming here from both sides of the argument. Like Creature as being too harsh on himself, Kai has been too soft on it. So Creature has been like, I don't deserve forgiveness, even though I deserve forgiveness. And Kai's probably thinking like, I should have brought it up I should have brought it sooner than this moment. Just get it all off our chest. But I was scared about ruining our relationship and our friendship. And he goes on and says, even now at this very moment, you're setting yourself up as the bad guy to help me put my doubts behind me. You're far too nice to me. Isn't that I am not happy now? I thought that I wasn't holding any grudges, but sometimes I can't tell anymore. Again, like just like the duality of Kai and how he feels here. Like, am I happy? Am I truly happy here? I wish my family were here, and this guy that's taken me into this underworld is the one that's responsible for their deaths, while not actually being the one that directly killed them. So, am I worthy of forgiving this guy, or does he deserve to be the bad guy in this situation? Which I don't think Creature does. Like he said, Creature was a kid, and he made a mistake. We all make mistakes as kids, but the one thing that Creature learned from this was like, I've got to take a step back. I am not invincible, and I cannot let something like this happen again. Because I feel like when this happened to Mutsume, he was like, damn it, again, this happened again. This happened with my best friend, and now it's happened with my family. And that's probably what motivated him more than 100% of like, I can't let anyone outside the underworld be involved for our family, because it's bringing another innocent life into our lives, and if they get hurt, then that's it. I don't think I could really call myself a Yozakura spy at that point. That's probably what went through his mind all throughout the series when Mutsume was becoming friends with Taiyo. Like, he probably saw, like, even though he went about it extremely creepy, he probably saw it like, if I let Taiyo be with Mutsume, then, and if Taiyo gets hurt, then Mutsume's gonna feel like this was all my fault as well, and I don't want my sister to feel the pain that I felt with my best friend. So yeah, even though he's antagonistic towards Taiyo, he does have his reasons for being antagonistic towards Taiyo and being like extremely overprotective, because he's like two tragedies that he feels is mainly responsible for have happened in his life, both to his best friend and to his sister, which like I said is why I probably feel like he has been like this throughout the series. Like, it just all culminates in this chapter of like, okay, we finally get like the proper idea of like why Creature is the way he is. And again, like I said, this is bumped up Creature in my favourite characters. He's not in my top 10. Gonna say that right now. He's not in my top 10, but he's certainly, I would say he's in my top 15 after this chapter. I feel, will people be satisfied with that? Like, he's not going to be in my top 10, he's never going to be in my top 10, but this chapter certainly bumped him up to like, okay, I'll give him unlucky number 13. We'll give him unlucky number 13 for favourite characters, because I feel like that fits for him. But yeah, they got Kai finishes off his flashback by going, if I was stronger, surely I would have told you this sooner. I would have given in to temptation and gone to Asa and been given this ultimatum. Unlike you, Tao, I cannot bear the pain of losing my family. Unlike you and unlike Tao, I cannot bear the pain of losing my family. I cannot bear the pain of being abnormal. Like, totally relate to you, Kai. Totally relate to that. Because, yeah, they can bottle down their emotions, the Yozakuras. Like, Kai cannot. And that just makes him a little bit more human than most of the Yozakuras. Like, it makes him a little bit more human and emotional than Karicha, which I can totally relate to. Like, I mean, my brother, like, can bottle his emotions like Karicha, and it will take a lot to get him upset. Like I said before, like, when we lost Maisie, up there, and on there as well. When we lost Maisie, like, my brother, like, he's gonna be 37 in July. Yeah, he's gonna be 37 in July. He was 36 when Maisie died. No, he was 35 when Maisie died because it happened right before his birthday. 35 years. That is the most emotional I have ever seen him in his life. Like, just like you've seen like people bottling up their emotions, but he came out like balls out, crying his eyes out. Like, that's the first like legitimately emotional cry he has ever had in his life that I have ever seen him. And I've been his brother for 35 years. First time I've ever seen him cry like that. So yeah, Creature would my brother would definitely be like Creature in terms of like the emotion of bottling it up, and like I said, it would take something really, like, it would take probably like the whole of the Yozakura family dying in front of him to like just like completely lose it emotionally himself. So, but I'm like Kai in the sense that I sometimes I cannot bear the pain of losing people and losing close relationships that I have, and it'll just make me crack and be like Kai here. Like, he says here, but I am weak, and when he says I am weak, I don't think I think he means like I am weak in the sense that I cannot control my emotions as well as you can control your emotions, Creature. It's kind of the same thing with me and my brother. Like, he can control his emotions way more than I can. They go on to say, "You've tried to be strong for so long. I've been right there beside you, watching you do it for years. Creature, I'm sorry I'm so weak." As we get a gorgeous panel of just the two of them, like polar opposites, like kind of like that scene in the opening in the season 2 opening of Dr. Stone, where we see Senku and Tsukasa, two opposite sides of the same coin, just passing by each other. Is kind of similar to that there. So I like that. Like, it's the duality between these two, the emotionally weak one and the emotionally strong one, and how they've dealt with this tragedy that has affected both of them in so many different areas. So anyway, we cut to the end of the chapter where we have Asa is just simply watching the fight between Kai and Koricho as Alpha and Hirofumi and Mutsumi are saying like, "Oh, Papa's disappeared. Communication's blocked. He must be inside the ship." And we get a flashback, and we get like the flashbacks between Kai and Tayo, like obviously symbolizing the similarities that are between the two of them, as Tayo gives like a somber look as he walks into the behemoth, and that's where the chapter ends. So, oh boy, really, really awesome chapter here. Like, a lot of emotions and a lot to take away from this. Now, like I said, the question is like, what is Creature, is Creature's true spring brilliant going to be able to bring Kai back to his senses and be like, no, we need to talk about this as adults. We can do our fight right now, but eventually we're going to have to sit down and talk with each other as adults in order to help us move on from this tragedy. I feel like that's how this is all going to play out. But yeah, really good chapter for Kai and Creature here. Like, definitely one of their highlighted moments. Probably my favourite Kai moment and probably my favourite Kirichiro moment right there in that chapter, where they're just going through like their emotions and how they feel about the tragedy that happened with Kai's family and what has led them to this point. Now, the question remains is like, is this leading to the vision that Alpha saw of Tao being dead at Asa's feet, or is it leading to be like, okay, Tao has seen what is gonna concur, and is he gonna actually manipulate to be like, okay, so it's not gonna turn out that way, but I'm probably still gonna get defeated by Asa. Like, I feel like that would be a great way to get around it. Like, they see Tao on the floor, but he's not dead, he's just defeated. So the vision does technically come to pass, but it just comes to pass in a different way. But it does seem like Tao is maybe resigning himself to the fate of just being like, this vision that Alpha saw, it's inevitable, it's going to happen. But like I said, we'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lasherluke signing off. Later, guys.